Hey, what's going on? Greetings and welcome back to Blackburn News. Hope y'all are doing good. Thanks for tuning in. I told you it was going to be a weird time today. I did let people know that it was going to be a different time. I didn't really have a lot of time to, schedule prior to give people a good running head start to even watch the show. So we'll see who shows up, but thanks. We'll get some people in here eventually. This is what I get for starting a live stream at a random time. But we're live on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, and on X. And let's get into a few things. Excuse me. Oh, whoops. What the heck is that? That's not what I wanted. All right, so we're just kind of go through some random stuff. Here's a little more on the underground bunker thing. It's from Shipwreck. Y'all know Shipwreck. I've played Shipwreck before. And she does pretty good work. Excuse me. I had a long day already today. Where it stops, nobody knows. But here, let's listen to this video from, hold on. That's right. Let's listen to this video from Shipwreck, which is kind of has a weird formatting going on. I don't know what's going on here. Start from the beginning.
The United States has a $21 trillion underground network for only the wealthy to hide out in a near extinction event. Everyone's kind of talking about this right now, and nobody's really surprised, but here's where it stems from.
There were 21 trillion of undocumentable adjustments. in the U.S. government. The question is, where's all this money going? And one of the things I've looked at in the process of looking at where all this money is going is the underground base and city infrastructure and transportation system that's been built. So we have built an extraordinary number of underground bases and supposedly transportation systems
in the United States.
In the United States, on all over the world, and tried to estimate our guess. This is totally a guess of how many underground bases, both underground in the United States, but also underground under the ocean.
Now that was Catherine Austin Fitts, and the entire interview is really, really good. If you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. In another life, she served as the Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under President George H.W. Bush. And everybody's talking about this one part about the underground bases, right? We followed Mark Zuckerberg when he built his underground bunker. I mean, we were deep into this a while back when we thought that the world was going to end. So nobody was really surprised, but everybody really likes to talk about it, and that's perfectly cool. But you did miss this part, is how did they move the money to do all these dark secret ops to build underground bunkers? How do they move it without the people knowing? Because any money that goes into the government is supposed to be able to be found and disclosed and tracked. That's the rule, right? How do you get all of that money and have it never, ever be able to be tracked by anybody? And here's what she said.
Remember the Kavanaugh hearings?
Very well.
Okay. What you don't remember is during the Kavanaugh hearings, the White House, the Senate, the House, Republican and Democrat, all of them together, issued an administrative policy called Federal Accounting Standards Advisory Board Statement 56.
Yeah, I did miss that. I'll just say.
You did miss that.
Yeah, I was busy watching Kavanaugh yell about his teenage drinking or whatever.
Right. And what that policy said is, as a matter of administrative policy, we do not have to obey the constitutional provisions related to financial budgeting and disclosure. We do not have to obey the laws, and we do not have to obey the regulations. What we can do is appoint a secret group of people by a secret process to move money out of the financial disclosures of the United States.
So what she's saying is that when everybody was super busy working on and watching and talking about the Kavanaugh hearings, Congress got together and they enacted this rule. They could have sole propriety over moving funds where they needed to go, and it didn't have to be publicly identified. They could just assign it to this like mystery thing, this mystery man. Okay, and then those funds are what they used. So what is she saying is those funds are what they use to build all of these underground cities. That's what they do, right? They distract us with dumb shit like Kavanaugh hearing or Met Galas or celebrities, and then they go through and they have all these little hearings and they're real quiet and nobody talks about them. They just keep screwing people over. Anywho's, this whole interview is really, really good. And tomorrow night, I am making my Shipwreck Show premiere on Badlands Media on Rumble. And that's going to be at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay. And I actually have a lot of these clips broken down. And she talks about a lot of really interesting things that we've kind of been talking about for years. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about that. And I'm going to share all the clips. And we'll probably scroll. We'll talk about some other things that are going on. P. Diddy stuff. That trial starting this week. We're just going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. So I hope to see you there.
Okay. Yeah, that is interesting, right? However, that was during the Kavanaugh hearings, right? I mean, that was fairly recently, and they've been working on this for a long time. So maybe just another wrinkle, I guess, in the levels of duplicity and opaqueness of the government, machinations, right? I mean, it doesn't really take much to do some money laundering. You just say, and we've been watching this going on with the homeless fraud that has been talked about a lot happening in California. I mean, you don't really have to work that hard, and you don't have to pass laws to, cover up where the money is going. I mean, you can make it harder. Malcolm Young says America is too dumb to actually have successfully built a decent under-ocean base. Maybe that's so. But what was it she was talking about? Was the article? Pardon me. Article 56. Something. I missed that. Hold on, I'm going to go back here for a second.
The United States sole propriety over moving
is appoint a secret group of people by a secret process to move money out of the financial disclosure, obey the laws, and we do not have to obey the regulations. What we can do is have to obey the Constitutional Advisory Board Statement 56.
Yeah, I did miss that.
Advisory Board Statement 56. That's Malachi says Tucker's brain is mulch. Okay, I mean, let's see. I feel like I talked about this a few months ago. This was briefly going around. Yes, SFAF AS 56. Statement allows for the obfuscation of reporting and, in some cases, the concealment of financial information due to what? National security concerns. You think the underground bases are BS, Malachi? Okay. I mean, you know. We do have the FASAB has determined the national security concerns can override the need for financial transparency to the public. So this is a real thing. I mean, I don't know. You can maybe have an opinion on whether the bases are happening or not, but this right here is actually a real thing. That's the non-disclosure of financial operations. All you have to do is say the words national security. Hottest start to May in UK? Well, that's not out of the question. So, you and I saw Malachi. You were bringing up Jimmy Dore, talking about the increase in Antarctic ice. You know, somebody, you know that people are going to latch onto that, and that's what I saw on Twitter as well. People, you know, latching onto that story like, yeah, see, climate change. But if you actually read this article or the study, which we looked at yesterday, we looked at that study, and what you saw was, yes, an increase in one area of Antarctic ice, and all the other ones were record levels of melt. So I don't know how you square that circle. Not really sure. Might hit 100 degrees in Canada this week, Bella. Do tell. Well, we're supposed to get a hot one, a bit of heat down here as well. Don't know how easily I'm going to be able to find this. Of course, I can't find anything current because this Brave search kind of sucks. Malcolm says, I bet there are loads of awesome military underground. I mean, I don't think that is a stretch, the underground bases. By the way, the Department of Defense has admitted to losing just about that amount of money, right? And that's kind of where her reporting comes from. Like, where did all this money go? from the Pentagon, right? Over the last 20 years, there's been revelations. Oh, we're missing 2 trillion. Oh, we're missing 3 trillion. We're missing 8 trillion. We're missing 10 trillion. And it adds up to something like $21 trillion over the last, I don't know what, 3 decades. I've heard all kinds of things about where this money might possibly, you hear people talking about off-world military bases or bases on the moon or, whatever. There's like all these ideas like, where did this money go? Oh, we're building, we're already hitching a ride with the aliens to Alpha Centauri. So, the idea that there are underground cities, look at the catacombs in Paris and Rome has catacombs as well, right? There's underground cities. It's a thing. There is a DC underground city. Yeah. And there's verifiably, so the thumbnail for the show, it shows the Cheyenne military base, which is in the mountain, right? It's a NORAD. It's one of the main bases for controlling missiles, ICBMs, and basically, right, it's kind of a central command. And that is deep in the mountain, and that's verifiable. So that's, it's a thing. As far as the timeline of when this money disappeared and when these bases were built, I don't know. It's probably all over the map. I do find it interesting, they're pointing out something that happened during the Kavanaugh hearings, which was fairly recent. So I don't think the passing of this bill in the Kavanaugh hearings really has a lot to do with the underground bases, because all those bases were built decades ago, or construction was started. So it didn't happen in the last 8 years. That 21, they passed this bill so that they could disappear $21 trillion in the last 8 years and build under. No, that didn't happen. So it's a little bit of a dubious link, but think what you want. Oh, speaking of heat, talking about this, Leon Simons talking about, oh, thank you. Oh, Swami. Leon Simons talking about the fact that we're above 1.5. Months most influenced by La Nina are still above 1.5 C. We're about to reach a 2-year average above 1.6 C. Read that again, a 2-year average above 1.6 C. But we haven't passed 1.5 C yet. Like, square that circle for. Explain that one to me. We're above 1.5. Like, it's over. It's done. We passed it. We're past it. We're not going back. We're not going down again. It's not happening. So, like, and he's kind of pointing, that's basically what he's pointing out. It baffles me that many pretend that it's physically possible to keep global warming below 1.5 C. Well, especially since global warming is above 1.5 C. I don't know how you keep something below something that has already passed. It's lunacy, whatever. Is there no Rockfin? There's Rockfin. I'm on Rockfin. It's up. Are you not seeing a picture on Rockfin? Did I hit the thing? It should be up. Yeah, I'm on. It's on. I don't know. So anyways, it is, I don't really, I don't know. We have a running 2-year average above 1.6, so I just think that it's, the link is on Rockman. Yeah, I knew that. All right, here we go.
This out. These are our max temperatures as we go into Sunday and Monday, May 12th. We could be talking about temperatures approaching 100 degrees in southern Canada. We're definitely going to see temperatures over 100 degrees out here, potentially in South Dakota and North Dakota. So this is going to be a real heat wave for May up here in this part of the world. Now, I'm not certain that we'll hit 100 degrees widespread. I think there will be a couple of places, but definitely in the 90s, maybe even in the mid to upper 90s for the vast majority of the people here in the Browns. That's going to be significantly above average. Looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, we're going to have, once again, above average temperatures up here between May.
All right, I think we got it. That's warm. That's warm for May. And yeah. And below average here, that's great for me. It's for the moment. Although I don't know, I thought we're getting into the 90s this week. I knew it was going to get a little toasty this weekend, but I didn't see that we're going to get 90 degrees. Friday and Saturday looking like a 90-degree tap out, and then we go all the way back down within 3 days, down to 63 being the high. So that is interesting, to say the least. Yeah. All right. Well, beach weather this weekend, so there we go. It's been cold in southwest New Mexico. Okay. Well, if you're in the upper Midwest, then hang on to your hats. Although we're going to get cooked for 2 days here in Southern California, too nice, not really cooked, just golden brown, not charred, not barbecued, not fried, just golden brown. All right. Oh, more on underground bases, and the fact that if the rich and famous are buying up underground bunkers, I don't know why the government and the people with all the power wouldn't do that too. So, and this is a known super rich preppers planning to save themselves from the apocalypse. I feel like we've probably read this story years ago. But there is, I'm sure it's already long been established that all the billionaires and trillionaires already have their bunkers, in New Zealand or Guyana or Kansas or whatever. You're getting into the 30s at night. Oh, that sounds delightful. Anyways, these guys got enough money to blow on spaceships. You don't think they have underground bunkers as like a 10th or 11th home? I'm sure that they do. Let's see. Where y'all at? All right, we're going to take a left turn into people talking about 9/11. I know it's a random kind of day. This is what we're doing. I don't know. I mean, I feel like everybody knows the story is bunk, but people want to talk about it, and they make a point at the end of this short here. They make a point to say the implications of a controlled demolition are dark. You think? All right, let's watch this. Of course they're dark.
Well, I'm an architect of 20 years, a member of the American Institute of Architects, and have been studying steel frame fireproof buildings for about that long.
We asked that for clarification because as we get into this, we want people to make sure that you're not just somebody with a wacky idea.
Right.
Okay, you come with some science to you. What is the official reason for the collapse of the World Trade Center towers?
Well, we're told that the planes hit the buildings and there was an explosion and a fire, and about an hour and a half later, in the case of the North Tower, the buildings collapsed due to structural weakening due to the fires. Mm-hmm. The problem is that we don't have large gradual deformations associated with collapses, and fires in high-rises have never brought down a steel frame high-rise building at all, ever. And what we have, unfortunately, is the evidence in the Twin Towers and the third skyscraper to collapse that day, which most people don't know anything about it. We have the evidence of the 10 key features of controlled demolition. In the case of Building 7, it collapses straight down into its own footprint at free fall speed in the first 100 feet. It's dropping, as you can see, symmetrically, smoothly, at free fall speed in the first 100 feet, 2.5 seconds. This is uncanny. There's 40,000 tons of structural steel designed to resist this collapse.
So what, a 47-story building?
Yeah, this is called Building 7, right? A football field away from the Twin Towers. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we're showing is left what happened. In fact, right is a controlled where you are using, or the people who made this happen, used demolition.
Indeed, and this is a direct comparison. And you can see that, indeed, almost free fall speed, free fall acceleration through 40,000 tons of structural steel. That is uncanny. So we have 700 architects and engineers demanding a new investigation as a result of this evidence and the evidence in the World Trade Center that is very explosive. Almost every architect and engineer we show this information to agrees with us that these are controlled demolitions. If we can get them to look at the information, because obviously the implications of a controlled demolition are dark for our country, because that means somebody besides Al-Qaeda was involved, because these have to be easily 3 of the most highly secure buildings.
What happened? There's an explosion. It's in the lobby, and the third explosion, the whole lobby collapsed on it.
So what you tell me is that there was a plane or whatever hit the building, and then the secondary explosion.
It was like 3 explosions after that. We came in after the fire. We came when the fire was going on already.
This is the Illuminati card game of conspiracy made in 1995. Does that look like to you? Pentagon, Boston Marathon, Israel, there's so many more. But you need to get your head out of the absolute sand if you still believe the official narrative. Peace.
Okay, all right. I don't know. Are they ever going to really... I've heard... who was it was calling for another investigation? Was it Ron Johnson? Calling for opening another investigation into the... You know, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Too much at stake. Well, I feel like it's obvious that it wasn't who they said it was. And it would be nice if people got angry about it or woke up and said, hey, this ain't right. All right, where are we going next? COVID. Let's go to COVID. We listened to Jeffrey Sachs yesterday talking about COVID coming from North Carolina. Here's Kim Iverson having an exchange with Mara Vizendaal in 2022, who kind of indicated the same thing, but then walked back. Kim was saying, well, it came from North Carolina. And she's like, oh, no. There's no evidence of that. But she was like, what you just said. Anyways, let's listen to this.
I wanted to ask again, the Ralph Barrick situation seems incredibly fascinating to me, that he would say, well, look, okay, I don't actually know if I can't say whether or not Ralph did some of this work that you're talking about that would have involved the Fear and Cleavage site. Were you surprised that he kind of tossed responsibility over to his colleague there? And what's your guess on whether or not we're going to be able to get him to go on record?
Yes and no, because something similar happened in a debate. It was actually a very fascinating debate that was convened by Science Magazine in September over the origins of the pandemic. And the DARPA proposal had just been released ahead of the debate, so it came up. And one of Daszak's collaborators, Lin-Fa Wang, also kind of passed it over to Barrick. And what's notable about Ralph Barrick is that he signed one of the open letters by prominent scientists saying that actually a lab leak needs to be on the table, and we need a full investigation of the origins of the pandemic. So even he's one of the world's leading coronavirus researchers, not the leading researcher. He has actually been fairly upfront about the risks of doing this research. And so I hope that he responds to our questions. We would love to interview him as well.
Yeah, that's a huge implication if it did potentially come out of North Carolina rather than Wuhan. And I think we should be investigating both leads, right?
No, I don't believe it came out of university. Well, I don't think that's on the table.
So you're not even going to investigate that. I mean, that seems strange to me that you've got a guy who's saying that his colleague maybe actually did do this sort of research in order to get the grant money. You're not going to even follow that lead?
He was saying that Barrick's lab, so Barrick was the one who wrote that part of the proposal and who proposed doing that work. To me, it's unclear where the work happened. And actually, I would cut
so if it's unclear, then
I'm not.
Right. So the work might have been done in Wuhan, right? Because they were collaborating with Wuhan, and so they're passing viruses back and forth. How does that work? And was there some of it being done in North Carolina? Or not this type of work, but is there a research lab there that could be a place that some work would be done?
Ralph Barrick does have a lab that is working on coronaviruses there. That's correct.
Right, gotcha.
Well, Mara, thank you so much. Wait, you can finish your thought if you have something.
No.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Gotta get Ralph Barrick on. Dr. Barrick, if you're watching, open invitation. Join us on Rising. But yeah, Mara, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll have more Rising right after this.
All right. Well, good on Kim for for calling her out, saying, well, why wouldn't we investigate the lead or the trail that leads to North Carolina? Why wouldn't you do that? Oh, no. It didn't come from there. And now Jeffrey Sachs, several years later, is going, oh, it came from North Carolina. Pretty sure. And then again, there's the Fort Detrick being closed down around the time of COVID. Which some people think looks a little... Here it is. In 2019, Fort Detrick was closed. Okay. It was not officially closed in July 2019. However, in that month, the U.S. Army halted some lab operations at the base due to issues related to the facility's compliance with regulations governing the handle of dangerous pathogens. The Army reported that a laboratory at Fort Detrick had not met certain safety and security standards set by the CDC. As a result, the CDC issued a suspension on the laboratory's operations. Situation raised concerns about biosecurity and safety protocols. The closure of the specific lab drew attention, especially given Fort Detrick's association with research on infectious diseases and biodefense, leading to various speculations and conspiracy theories regarding its activities. However, the Army emphasized that the measures taken were part of a routine oversight to ensure safety standards were met, yada, 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 yada. All right, okay. Well, who knows? There are questions. I don't know if there are more answers, but there seem to be more questions. More homeless. Oh man. Okay, here's somebody saying this is recent, but this was not recent. This was a few months ago. Actually, in March, when Karen Bass said that she was going to deem fire victims who were not cleaning up debris around their property, she was going to declare them a nuisance and fine them. It was in March, so this is not necessarily new news. So they're stating Karen Bass says she's going to start labeling the Pacific Palisades fire victims' homes a nuisance and fine them for debris. She didn't say that recently. That was maybe about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. So this person walked around Los Angeles and filmed other things that they don't consider a nuisance. So there's that. I don't know.
So I'm out here in downtown Los Angeles, and I wanted to make just a quick video to show everybody the hypocrisy of Karen Bass, who's getting ready to declare properties in Pacific Palisades a nuisance because of the fire debris. This is literally right outside the police department in Los Angeles. What you see there on the wall is human excrement. That's actually a human turd. And spray all over the walls of the police department. Piles of trash like this, stacked up on every street corner. Check out this lot right here. Does this seem like a nuisance?
And you leave the debris situated there, we are going to have to declare it a nuisance and we will have to hold you responsible.
Okay, well, I think you guys get the point. Malachi is asking, familiar with Michael Dodd's work, Environmental Coffee House, or yeah. Long years and years ago, I have been knowing of all of those people and names. Cappadocia in Turkey. Okay. Underground city in Turkey, Cappadocia. Have not. I have not. There are any videos we can watch? Let's see. Well, that looks like fun. Eight levels deep. That's crazy. You wonder where the septic goes down there? We all want to know. Here's another video that, yeah. You know the aliens built them tunnels, right? Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, well, that was fun. There is an 8-mile tunnel to another underground city in Turkey. All right, so tell me that. Tell me the military and the people in charge aren't building underground bunkers in cities in modern times. Oh, we just don't do that anymore. It's unethical, and safety reasons. I don't know. If they can do it, they're going to do it. If they got the money, they're going to spend it. Where's this story? This is mildly interesting. Apple's Eddie Q. You may not need an iPhone 10 years from now. AI could make the iPhone go the way of the Apple iPod. So what does that mean? That mean the phone is going to be in our head, in my hat? I don't know. Where are they going to put the phone? Or maybe we just don't need it. I don't know. AI. Maybe we're going to. Maybe the internet is just going to exist like. Well, Wi-Fi is in the air, right? So maybe we just access Wi-Fi like right in front of us. I don't know. Q went on to say, Q's remarks came during the Google search antitrust remedies trial today while discussing how AI has the potential to reshape the tech industry and open the door to new entrants. Incumbents have a hard time. We're not an oil company. We're not toothpaste. These are things that are going to last forever. You may not need an iPhone 10 years from now. Q calls AI a huge technological shift, suggests that such shifts can humble companies that once seemed unassailable. Some companies have already tried and so far failed to replace smartphones with AI gadgets. I don't know. I say no thank you to the AI gadgets. Maybe, Malcolm. According to RFK Jr., 5G is bad for our brains. Well, he sounds like a tinfoil hat nutter. That guy. I'm joking, of course. I would say it's not only likely, but fairly certain that 5G is bad for your brains. Bad Brains. Great band. Let's see. I'm about to wrap it up, guys. I thought I had another video here. Oh, here's homeless fraud in New York City. We've been talking a lot about the homeless fraud that's going on in California. There's no 5G. What is it? What you trying to tell me? Or is this California? Why does it say New York City Department of Homeless Services? I don't know. I'm confused. California gave taxpayer money to a company meant for the homeless. Sorry, got a little confused on this. Company used $11.6 million in city funds to pay a security company it owned, with executives pocketing nearly $400,000 from that arrangement. One NGO paid himself $1 million in a year. Gotta love the irony, making sure no one steals money from the homeless while they're busy stealing money from the homeless. Let's listen to this. So he's talking about New York City. I don't know why the copy in this is talking about California. So Wall Street apes, do a little bit of quality control, please. Anyways. All right. Good chance, excuse me, good chance it's happening. Pretty much everywhere. Well, I won't assume such things, but politicians going to grift, right? You can't hear the clip? I'm sorry. Let's see if but what? What are you talking about, AOD? Hold on, let's see. Let's get this back. I'm about to wrap it up, y'all. We'll try again. Here we go. All right, here we go. I think you hear it this time.
Here's a headline you don't see every day.
Homeless
shelter executives.
Or actually, you do see it every day.
Make millions. If irony paid rent, New York City's homeless problem would be solved overnight. One nonprofit head paid himself $1 million in a year. He's making more money than most CEOs, and they at least pretend to care about their customers. Another company used $11.6 million in city funds to pay a security company it owned, with executives pocketing nearly $400,000 from that arrangement. You gotta love the irony, making sure no one steals money from the homeless while they're busy stealing money from the homeless. If you want to see real hustlers in New York City, skip Times Square and check out the contracts with City Hall.
Why are there stormtroopers behind him? Am I missing something? It's random. Okay. Think that's about it, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for jumping in here today on short notice. I appreciate you all. If you want to support the show, there's lots of ways to do it. You know how to do it. There's a bunch of links in the description box of whatever platform you're watching on. There's a link tree on X, if you're watching on X, and all the usual suspects are there. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, Substack. All, you know, there's lots of ways to support the show. If you like the show coming to you for free, and I like giving it to you for free, but time costs time. So if you want to support the show, I really, you know, could be very helpful. Many of you already support the show, have supported the show in the past, or continually support the show, and I appreciate you. You know who you are. I appreciate you. Oh yeah, definitely. Basically, that's what they're. It seems like that's what they're doing, Gene. Artificially driving real estate prices up, so only the super rich can afford homes. Everybody will be renters. And then you can squeeze people, and squeeze people, and squeeze people. I don't know. I don't really know how that actually is helpful in the long run. Because at the end of that road, everybody's homeless and nobody can afford to buy all your shit. So if you're a captain of the financial, you know, juggernaut, it kind of relies on people, you know, consuming, right? Producing, consuming. Even if there's not a production, people working in service industries or, you know, creative industries or financial industries. But, you know, people have to be able to at least get, like, you know, basic things and needs in order to, like, keep going in this economy. Not saying I'm a big supporter of the economy as it's run. I'm not, but if you're squeezing everybody and making it so that nobody can afford anything, well, then you're kind of in the end killing your own customer base. And so I don't know how that is a long-term plan for success. I don't really get it. Okay, because eventually you go down too, right? In my mind, it don't make a lot of sense. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I'll see you tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. We'll be back on all the regular channels. Denver will be joining me tomorrow. And good talking to you. Until next time, peace.